Welcome to a quiet day in ancient Timbuktu, life among books and sand. Tonight, you'll journey softly through the sunlit streets and shaded courtyards of this timeless city, where the rustle of parchment and the whisper of desert winds create a peaceful rhythm all their own. If you're seeking a calm escape before sleep, a gentle story to quiet your mind, you've come to the right place. If you enjoy this soothing journey, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, so we can share many more quiet moments together, helping you find rest and peace night after night. Now, settle in, breathe deeply, and let the story carry you gently toward sleep. Chapter 1. Introduction: The Quiet Edge of the World. Tonight, we journey far from the noise of modern life. Let your thoughts soften, your breath slow, and the day begin to fade from your mind. In its place, we'll invite a quiet world to unfold, an ancient, peaceful world that moved gently with the rhythms of earth and season. Imagine a vast wilderness, an unbroken sea of green trees, winding rivers, and silence. The year is somewhere in the late 1500s. The place is what we now call West Africa, along the edge of the mighty Niger River, beneath the canopy of time-worn forests, in a village built on the memories of ancestors and the quiet labor of everyday life. This is not the world of kings and battles. This is not a tale of glory or conquest. This is something softer, older, something still echoing in the stillness of night. Tonight, you'll walk slowly beside a man you will never meet. A trader, a craftsman, a father perhaps. He does not know that centuries from now, someone will imagine him again, softly, by candlelight. His days are not dramatic, but they are full. His name is not written, but his life was lived in harmony with the river, the wind, and the memory of his elders. Let us begin. Not in a market or a palace, but with the land itself. The great silence before a single human sound is heard. Picture the landscape. The early hours before the sun rises, when the world is not quite dark, not quite light. The sky is deep indigo. A soft mist curls low over the ground, tangled gently between tall elephant grass and the long branches of ancient acacia trees. You hear no machines, no horns, no voices, only the faint breath of wind, carrying the distant trill of insects and the sleepy rustle of birds beginning to stir. The land stretches wide, its horizons veiled in morning haze. The Niger River, broad and unhurried, reflects the sky like an obsidian mirror. A hippo snorts softly in the distance. The first heron glides low, silent as a spirit. This is the stage, still and sacred, a place that moves slowly, like honey poured over time. We draw closer now. You see the outline of a village, still in slumber. Small rounded homes with thick mud walls and conical thatched roofs, nestled together in a loose circle. The earth here is soft, warm in tone, a faded clay red, worn smooth by generations of bare feet. A few goats stir lazily beneath a baobab tree. Smoke curls faintly from a cooking hearth left smoldering overnight. A water jar rests near the well, still beaded with dew. From one of the homes, light begins to stir. Not fire, but motion, the simple rhythm of a sleeping mat being folded. A pot being moved gently aside. A child murmuring in a dream. The trader awakens. Not suddenly, but gradually, like the land itself. He lies still at first, listening, breathing, feeling the coolness of the earth beneath the woven mat. The soft weight of a cotton cloth over his shoulders. There is no alarm, no clock, only the feeling that the day has begun to turn. He rises. His motions are slow, careful not to wake the others who still rest inside. He steps out into the soft blue hush of dawn. The world greets him, not loudly, but faithfully. The earth is cool beneath his feet. The dew has not yet lifted. He stands for a moment in the doorway, letting the fresh air touch his face. His eyes scan the horizon, not for danger, but for familiarity, for the shape of the morning. The way the birds fly, the scent of the breeze, His hair is bound loosely with cord. Around his neck, a small wooden pendant, carved by his father. Not for decoration, but memory. He walks toward the outer edge of the village. Beyond the homes is a narrow path, cleared by many feet and years of passage. Here, the grass grows lower, bent by wind and wear. Trees arch above like patient guardians. He walks slowly. There is no rush. Down the path is the river. Wide, eternal, quietly powerful. It has been here longer than the village, longer than any story told by firelight. It reflects the soft colors of the morning sky, gray, blue, the faintest hints of gold. He crouches at the edge, dips his hand in the water. It is cool. Alive. This river is more than water, it is connection. A silent road stretching beyond imagination, linking villages, cultures, lifetimes. Traders, messengers, farmers, all following the same current. He does not speak, but he offers a small gesture. A hand over heart. A bow of head. A moment of reverence. He returns home as the village slowly stirs. A rooster calls somewhere beyond the houses. The first cooking fires crackle to life. The smell of smoke and millet and palm oil begins to drift gently through the air. His partner has begun to prepare the morning meal. Thick porridge, a handful of dried okra, ground shea nut stirred in with slow, practiced movements. They do not speak much, but there is comfort in their quiet cooperation. He takes a calabash bowl, scoops warm water from a clay jug, and washes his hands slowly. The water darkens, running over his fingers, and soaks into the earth at his feet. He sits on a woven mat, cross-legged. The bowl is passed to him, steam rising gently. He eats slowly, each bite measured. This is not just food, but rhythm. A quiet marking of time. As the sun begins its rise, the village fully wakes. Chickens dart between homes. Children's laughter begins to echo softly. Women balance baskets on their heads, moving gracefully toward the river. Elders sit beneath the neem tree, speaking in low voices. Shell bracelets clink quietly with each gesture, but our focus stays on one man. One ordinary life. After the meal, he prepares his small woven satchel. Inside, a folded cloth, a length of carved bone, a few iron rings, an amulet, a bundle of dried herbs. Each object has purpose. Each one is part of a rhythm known only to him. He steps outside again, the sun now casting warm light through the trees. Shadows stretch long across the village. Birds flit from branch to branch, singing not for joy or sadness, but simply because the day has begun. And so, we begin. This is the first breath of a life lived quietly. Not a grand tale, but a steady one. Not a fast story, but a deep one. Tonight, you'll stay in this quiet world. Through stillness, and shadow, and simple daily tasks. You'll walk beside the ordinary, and find peace in its presence. This is the quiet edge of the world. And it's waiting for you. Let us continue. Chapter 2. Morning Rhythms. Life begins with the sun. The sun rises slowly above the horizon, casting golden light across the Niger River, as the mist lifts gently and shadows stretch across the clay-red soil. The village, once cloaked in early dawn stillness, begins to stir with the rituals and rhythms that shape every morning. This is not a hurried awakening. No one rushes to meet the day. Here, the day opens like a blossom, slow, measured, full of grace. A woman walks to the well with a large clay jar balanced easily on her head. Her steps are slow and practiced, her feet bare against the warm earth. She greets an elder seated under the neem tree with a quiet nod and the soft words of a traditional morning greeting. Her voice is calm, almost musical. These greetings are not just formality, they are an echo of ancestral respect. A morning custom that links her to the women who came before. A pair of boys chase a skinny goat between homes, their laughter bubbling through the still air. They are careful not to disturb the elders gathered on low stools, speaking softly in a dialect older than maps. The boys carry small calabashes, ready to help with water or feed, learning the rhythm of responsibility from observation and repetition. Smoke rises now from several homes. Inside one, a woman stirs a thick porridge of millet over glowing coals. She adds dried groundnuts and a touch of shea butter, the scent warm and nutty in the morning air. She hums softly as she works, not a song with lyrics, but a melody shaped by habit and memory. Her fingers move confidently. The wooden spoon, the clay pot, the fire, all tools she knows as well as her own heartbeat. Our trader, the man whose quiet morning we followed, has returned from the river and now sits near the doorway of his home, repairing a leather strap that has worn thin. His hands are steady. He works in silence, occasionally pausing to sip water from a carved gourd. Nearby, his partner kneads fresh dough, pressing and folding rhythmically on a smooth flat stone. Children gather outside under the large baobab tree where an elder prepares to share a story. Each child brings a mat, settling into a ring as the storyteller begins. Not with the tale itself, but with silence. A pause. A breath. This, too, is part of the rhythm. The elder speaks slowly. His voice is rough with age but rich with warmth. He tells of a time when the river spoke to those who listened, when the trees whispered names and the wind carried dreams between the branches. The children listen, not with wide eyes or gasps, but with steady attention, absorbing the story as they would warmth from the sun. Back in the center of the village, a woman inspects a row of dyed cloth hung carefully to dry. The fabric, rich in color, deep indigo, earthy ochre, sun-washed white, flutters gently in the morning breeze. She runs her fingers along each piece, feeling for texture, checking each one with a careful eye. These are not just clothes. They are history worn in patterns, symbols passed down from mother to daughter, cloth that speaks without words. The trader finishes his repair and rises. He moves to the communal space where several others are gathered. One man sharpens a tool. Another knots palm fronds for basket weaving. A woman grinds spices in a stone bowl, the scent of dried pepper and melagetta rising into the air. They do not speak much. Their silence is not awkward, but full. A shared quiet that comes from knowing one another through the years. An infant cries nearby, and the sound is quickly met with comfort. The mother sways gently, pressing her cheek to the child's head, whispering soft syllables as she rocks. The baby settles. The day continues. Farther down the village path, a young woman prepares herbal medicine. She crushes dried leaves and barks with a pestle, adding each ingredient with purpose. Her mentor, an elder healer, watches and corrects in low tones. These are not modern prescriptions, but remedies rooted in generations of practice. Leaves to cool a fever, bark to ease pain, seeds to strengthen the spirit. The preparation is slow, reverent. This is sacred work. By now, the sun has fully risen. The shadows shrink. The heat grows, but not uncomfortably. It presses down with familiarity, like a blanket you've known since childhood. A group of men prepare to leave for the nearby market, walking, not rushing. Each carries a bundle: nuts, salt, smoked fish, beads, carved tools. They walk together but do not fill the air with chatter. Their companionship is quiet, grounded. The village is now fully awake. Its heartbeat can be felt in each simple act. The splash of water in a gourd, the scrape of a blade against wood, the shuffling of sandals on packed earth. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is done in haste. Each motion connects the body to the land, the task to tradition. At the edge of the village, a woman plants cassava. Her hands dig carefully into the soil. Her posture is strong. Beside her, a child imitates her every movement. The woman does not correct, just watches and smiles faintly. This is how learning happens. Slowly. Through doing. Through being. The trader returns again to his home, pausing to greet a neighbor who sits weaving baskets. They exchange few words. A smile. A nod. The language of familiarity. He steps inside and takes a moment to rest before the midday heat sets in. Above the village, the sky is clear. The birds have quieted. The hum of insects grows steady. The river flows on, unchanged by time. And the morning ends. Not with fanfare, but with fulfillment. The village has moved through its morning rhythm, its people not driven by urgency, but by knowing. Knowing what the day needs. Knowing how to care for one another. And knowing that in every slow step, the old ways are not lost, but lived. Let the stillness of this place stay with you as you prepare to drift deeper into rest. Let's continue. Chapter 3. The midday market, life and trade in the Sahel. The sun hangs high, wide and bright, unmoving as if caught in a breath. By midday, the streets of Timbuktu radiate warmth that shimmers against sun-baked walls, yet no one hurries. It is not the pace of urgency that moves the city, but the slow, patient unfolding of a day well lived. The soundscape is soft, not silence, but harmony. Footsteps brush sand. Cloth rustles like leaves. There is talking, but never shouting. This is the midday market. Musa walks with a steady rhythm, his sandals making muted prints in the sandy pathways. His robe, dyed a soft indigo, brushes lightly against his ankles. He keeps to the shade where he can, his eyes accustomed to squinting just beneath the brim of his turban. The air is thick but not oppressive, there is a warmth that enfolds rather than scorches. The entrance to the market is marked not by a gate but by a change in the air, the mingling of scents, the gentle crescendo of voices, the shifting texture of the ground beneath foot. Canopies of woven cloth stretch from stall to stall, suspended between wooden poles, casting speckled shadows below. Beneath them, merchants sit cross-legged or kneel, surrounded by their wares arranged in patterned rugs, wooden trays, or clay bowls. Timbuktu is a city of trade, yes, but also of exchange, of stories, of continuity. Salt blocks, chalky and angular, gleam white beside golden-hued dust. Nearby, narrow strips of copper glint with a dull sheen, coiled in neat bundles. Incense smolders in small terracotta cups, sending up thin ribbons of scented smoke that carry whispers of distant lands. There is a calm to it all, not the energy of a bazaar, but the breath of a community in motion. Musa's path is neither hurried nor aimless. He knows where he is going, but time does not chase him. At a stall covered in small black squares, he stops. Ink blocks, each one the result of meticulous labor, soot, gallnut, gum arabic, and patience. The seller, a man with calloused fingers and a soft voice, watches as Musa lifts one gently. The texture is smooth, the scent faintly tannic. Musa selects two, their surfaces catching just enough sun to glisten. He pays with coin and greeting, bowing his head slightly in thanks. There is no haggling. The market here is not about conquest, but balance, an unspoken trust between buyer and seller that what is given matches what is received. From another stall, bundles of dyed thread call to him, bold crimsons, deep ochres, the yellows of turmeric and marula bark. Musa runs his fingers over the fibers. They are soft, but strong, spun and dyed by hands that know their craft. He chooses one of each, knowing the colors will speak in the margins of the manuscripts he tends. The market is more than a place to gather goods, it is a map of relationships. He sees a familiar face, Aminata, the woman who sells glass beads strung on leather cords. Her smile is wide, her voice warm. She tells him that her cousin returned from Gao with stories of rising waters. The river bends differently now, they say, reshaping the land like a calligrapher correcting a stroke. She laughs, shaking her head at the world's mischief. Farther along, he meets Horun, a salt merchant whose camels have just returned from the Tagaza mines. They exchange greetings and inquire about each other's families. There is news. A shipment of books has arrived from Cairo, bound in green and gold, stitched with thread as fine as hair. Musa's heart quickens at the mention. Not for the first time, he feels the quiet hunger of a man drawn to knowledge. Even the children are part of the rhythm. Beneath a fig tree, a group of them clap hands in time, feet stamping soft patterns in the dust. Their song is a call and response, half game, half chant, words passed down like heirlooms. An elder nearby watches them, his beard white, his eyes serene. He recites verses under his breath, old poems that once rode caravans across deserts, now nestled under the shade of his presence. Musa lingers at a corner where a trader arranges small jars of scent, oils pressed from seeds and bark, each with a personality of its own. One smells of crushed leaves, another of rain on dry soil. He breathes them in like distant memories. All around, the market continues, measured, unhurried. A woman balances a basket on her head, the cloth wrapped around her waist a tapestry of indigo and red. A man with a sun-worn face repairs a sandal, his fingers nimble. A donkey brays once, then settles. Two friends sit side by side, sharing dried dates and water from a gourd, speaking of a cousin's wedding 3 weeks past. The market doesn't announce itself with noise, it reveals itself in layers. There is the trade of objects, yes, but also the trade of gestures, of glances, of laughter shared without audience. Musa feels the day stretching like cloth on a loom. The sun shifts, casting new shadows. A breeze wanders through, stirring the hanging fabrics so they flutter like flags. Somewhere in the distance, a wooden chime rings, not an alarm, but a marker of time's quiet passage. He makes his way toward the edge of the market, the weight of ink and thread now in his satchel. He stops briefly to drink from a clay vessel offered freely by a young boy beside a shaded wall. The water is cool, tasting faintly of clay and the care with which it was drawn. Musa thanks him with a touch to the heart. He hears someone reciting the Quran in a voice as even as breath. The words fall softly over the scene like a veil. This is what he cherishes, the way the sacred and the everyday walk side by side here. The way trade and poetry, salt and spirit, share space without hierarchy. Timbuktu is not a city of noise, it is a city of resonance. Even the silence has texture. Even the dust carries story. Musa turns for home, his steps light. He passes the same stalls in reverse, nodding again to those he greeted before. A final scent, coriander this time, wraps around him as he exits the market's fold. He doesn't need to look back. The market is not a place one leaves behind, it stays with you in the traces it leaves. A smear of color on cloth, a faint perfume on fingers, a remembered verse. As the sun begins its slow descent, Musa walks on. His hands carry tools, but his heart carries something more, the subtle wealth of a place that trades not only in goods, but in the invisible currency of quiet knowing. Chapter 4, Afternoon Reflection. The Scholar's Circle. The sun no longer burns, it glows. By late afternoon, the light of Timbuktu has changed. Where once it pierced with sharp clarity, it now folds gently over rooftops and doorways, softening corners and deepening shadows. The heat has not vanished, but it has loosened its grip. A hush moves through the city, not from fatigue, but from attention, as if even the walls are listening. Musa walks with a calm sense of arrival, his footsteps guided more by memory than direction. He carries no satchel today. His hands are free, and his heart is light with a quiet anticipation. Ahead, the mud brick walls of Sankor Mosque rise like the earth itself, shaped by centuries of devotion and sun. Its minaret, square and sturdy, watches the sky like an old keeper of time. Beneath its gaze lies a wide courtyard, shaded, inviting, alive. The air within the mosque's perimeter is cooler. Date palms lean in gently, their fronds sighing in the breeze. Their shadows dapple the sand below, laying a moving pattern beneath the scholars and students already gathered. They sit in small circles or alone, some speaking, some silent, some with heads bowed over books that seem older than the stones around them. Musa steps through the arched entry and pauses, breathing it in, the scent of dust, ink, and sun-warmed parchment. This is not a library, though it holds more knowledge than shelves could bear. It is not a classroom, though teachings flow here daily. It is something older and softer, a sanctuary of thought. A garden of minds. He does not hurry to join a group. He walks slowly among the clusters, acknowledging them with slight bows, not wanting to disturb the quiet murmurs that ripple like water between them. The language of learning here is unhurried. It respects silence as much as speech. Today's gathering is small, but rich. Under the shade of a wide acacia tree, an elder scholar leans forward, his robe pooling like soft clouds around him. His beard is streaked with gray, his eyes rimmed with gentle lines. Around him sit 3 students, each with a notebook made of palm paper and a reed pen resting on their knees. Their sandals lie beside them, forgotten. A passage is being discussed, a verse from a legal treatise, centuries old. But if the debt is forgotten by the lender, the elder says, and no witness stands, where does justice rest? With memory, or with trust? The words fall quietly, yet they stir something. The students do not rush to respond. Instead, they wait. One of them, a girl with a green scarf wrapped twice around her head, finally speaks. Memory is unreliable, she says. But trust, she pauses. Trust is an agreement with the unseen. The elder smiles, but says nothing. His eyes move to Musa, who has been listening. Musa bows his head gently. And justice, he adds, is a flame carried by both. It burns unevenly if either is missing. The elder nods, pleased. The girl smiles, thoughtful. The others write slowly. Musa sits near them but does not stay long. He is not here to lecture. His role is different. Like water poured from vessel to vessel, he helps preserve the flow without owning it. His presence is quiet, supportive. He observes. He listens. Elsewhere in the courtyard, a younger scholar holds open a thick volume. Its cover is worn, its edges frayed, but the binding still holds. He reads in a soft, steady cadence, his voice the color of sand and sleep. The book is a commentary on the stars, the movement of Venus, the lean of the moon's crescent. As he reads, another scholar draws in the dust beside him, mapping out constellations with the tip of a date branch. The stars, says the reader, are not for foretelling, but for understanding. They speak not of our fates, but of our place. Musa watches from a distance. He remembers when he, too, first learned that the stars are not gods but signs, not voices, but echoes. The realization had been both humbling and freeing. A breeze curls through the courtyard, lifting the edges of pages and cooling the sand beneath the scholar's feet. Someone pours tea from a narrow-necked kettle, the liquid catching light as it streams into small glasses lined in green. The scent of mint rises like a song. The clink of glass is soft, no louder than the turning of a page. Time here does not pass, it unfolds. There are no bells, no whistles, only the steady migration of sunlight and the occasional stretch of a student's limbs. Some begin to read quietly to themselves. Others discuss points of theology or grammar, tracing the fine line between meaning and interpretation. One student has a question about calligraphy, the shaping of the Ra in a certain style of Maghribi script. Musa joins him, unrolling a scrap of parchment and drawing the letter slowly. The movement is almost dance-like, curved, then straight. Light pressure. Release. The hand, Musa explains, must listen as much as it moves. Writing is not just forming letters. It is translating breath. The student nods, trying the stroke himself, careful and slow. Behind them, the elder who had led the legal discussion begins to recite a poem from memory. His voice is low, yet every syllable carries. I saw the desert in my dream, wide as a promise, silent as prayer, and in it walked 1,000 men, each carrying a word on his tongue. The students fall quiet. Even the birds in the nearby tree seem to still their calls. The words are not written in any book. They live in the breath, and in the space between one line and the next. As the sun tilts further west, the courtyard glows amber. The golden light slides over the earth like spilled oil. Shadows grow long and soft. A young boy, no more than 10, tiptoes in, carrying a small bundle wrapped in cloth. He places it beside an older scholar and whispers something. The scholar pats his head gently and begins to unwrap the bundle, dried rose petals, carefully pressed. A gift. No explanation needed. Musa finds a place beneath the shade of a neem tree and sits, legs folded, arms resting loosely on his knees. He does not need to speak now. The air is full of enough wisdom. He lets it wash over him. Discussions rise and fall like tides. Words drift from one group to the next, sometimes overlapping, sometimes vanishing like mist. He thinks about the manuscripts at home, pages inked over months, stitched by hand, annotated by scholars long gone. Each book, a seed. Each reading, a harvest. This is not work for pride or profit. It is quiet tending. It is a way of holding hands with time. The tea is offered again. He accepts a glass and sips slowly. The mint is sharp, the sugar generous. It wakes something in him, not alertness, but gratitude. He watches the steam rise and vanish. A call to prayer rises faintly in the distance, its melodic arc moving across rooftops and alleys. Some rise. Others remain seated, heads bowed. The courtyard holds both action and stillness without contradiction. The reader with the star chart closes his book gently, brushing sand from its corners. The girl in the green scarf stands to stretch, her notebook tucked into the fold of her robe. The elder rubs his eyes and hums the last line of a poem under his breath. The circle begins to loosen, like the petals of a flower closing with the dusk. Not with finality, but with understanding. Learning, like the day, must rest before it can begin again. Musa walks to the elder and bows. They exchange no words, only a look that carries all the mutual respect and shared silence of many years. Knowledge, here, is not passed like fire, it is breathed like air. As he exits the courtyard, the last light of the sun brushes against the minaret. The calligraphy carved into the plaster glows briefly, then fades. Musa steps back into the city's fading light, the sounds of evening beginning to form. He carries nothing in his hands, yet his mind is full, not of noise, but of stillness, not of answers, but of better questions. The wind moves softly behind him. Pages turn again in his thoughts. Chapter 5. Evening rituals, preparing for nightfall. Evening comes not with a bang, but with a hush. It creeps gently through the alleys and courtyards of Timbuktu, brushing past woven door hangings and stone walls, whispering against clay rooftops. The shadows grow longer, then softer, then begin to blend into the earth itself. By the time the sun has slipped below the horizon, the city has already begun to quiet. It is not a silence of absence, but of return. The day folding itself neatly, like a well-worn robe. Musa walks home slowly, his sandals making muted sighs against the sand. The market behind him has settled into low voices and final handshakes. The scent of wood smoke curls through the air, mingled with the tang of tamarind and faint hints of roasting millet. Somewhere, a distant voice calls out a farewell in Songhai. A response floats back in Tamashek. Words still move, but they are no longer trying to reach anyone beyond the next doorway. He turns into his own small street, narrow and winding, tucked between larger lanes. The mud brick walls of the homes here are close, warm with the memory of the day's sun. Above, cloth canopies stretch between houses to shade courtyards and let the wind pass. Now, that wind has turned cool. It carries a relief that enters the lungs like prayer. Musa reaches his door and pauses. He does not knock, because there is no need. He lives alone, and the door is not locked. Instead, he brushes sand from the threshold with the edge of his foot, not out of necessity, but out of habit. A gesture that signals arrival. A small clearing of space. Inside, his home is simple. One room opens into another, the boundaries marked by curtains rather than doors. The walls are a soft brown, smoothed by hands over years. A mat lies near the eastern wall, a low stool beside a wooden shelf. There are a few clay pots, a single cushion, a shallow niche for books. Light glows from a small clay lamp he had filled with oil the day before. Now he strikes flint to wick, and flame stirs to life, not sudden, but steady. A flicker, then a bloom. The room breathes with the lamp. He sits for a while, not to do anything, but to let the day settle inside him. There is no rush to unwind. The rhythm of the day has already been slow, now it simply deepens. A stillness that holds rather than ends. Eventually, he rises and prepares dinner. There is no elaborate ritual, but each movement is thoughtful. He takes a bowl of millet porridge from where it cooled beside the window, stirs in a pinch of salt, then warms it gently over coals. Dried fish, salted and wrapped in cloth, is sliced into thin strips and placed alongside. A handful of dates completes the meal, wrinkled, sweet, sun-cured. He eats cross-legged, each bite small. There is no conversation, but the silence is not empty. It holds the market's murmur, the scholar's verse, the child's clapping game, echoes that linger behind the ears, like scent in cloth. The meal finishes with water, drawn earlier in the day and stored in a clay jug that keeps it cool. He drinks slowly, cupping his hands around the bowl. Then he cleans each utensil with care, rinsing with just enough water and laying them on a cloth to dry. Outside, the world quiets further. Neighbors murmur in low voices through cracked windows. The wind plays with palm leaves. A lullaby floats faintly from somewhere, a tune hummed more than sung. The night does not fall, it arrives. Musa lights a second lamp, smaller than the first. Its flame is narrow and quiet, meant not for lighting a room, but for lighting a mood. He brings it to his work table, a low wooden surface worn smooth in places from years of use. This is where he tends to his tools. First, the brushes. He unrolls the bundle where they are stored, thin wooden shafts with bristles made from horsehair, squirrel, or goat, depending on their purpose. He wipes each clean with a cloth, straightens the hairs, checks the binding. Then the threads. He wraps the dyed strands he bought earlier that day around small spindles, ochre, crimson, indigo, winding them tightly to keep them from fraying. The thread will be used to stitch the spines of books, to bind loose pages into permanence. He oils the scrap of leather that will serve as a future cover, his fingers moving gently over its surface as if waking it. The scent of tanned hide rises, subtle and earthy. He stores it beneath a linen cloth, away from dust. Then, finally, he reaches for the manuscript. It lies beneath another layer of cloth, not because it is precious, though it is, but because the act of uncovering it is part of the evening itself. The cloth lifts slowly. Beneath it, a stack of parchment pages, partially bound. The ink is dry, the lines straight. Each word drawn by hand. Musa places the pages before him, smoothing them with the back of his hand. His gaze moves not just across the words, but into them. Not scanning, but seeing. The letters are more than letters. They are the shape of thought itself, made visible, made lasting. He does not write tonight. He only observes. Like a gardener looking at the soil, not to plant, but to understand the season. The lamp crackles gently. The night holds. When the work is done, he returns the manuscript to its cloth. The handling is precise, reverent, not out of fear, but of respect. A book, even incomplete, is not an object. It is a companion, a bearer of lineage. He turns now to something smaller, a scroll of poetry, tightly rolled and bound with a simple string. He opens it slowly. The parchment whispers as it unrolls. The ink is faded in places, but legible. The verses are old. Musa has read them many times before, but they never age. The wind forgets no name. The stone forgets no step. The heart forgets no word. That once was given in silence. He reads aloud, quietly. His voice is not meant for others, only for the air, and perhaps the stars. When the final verse is read, he sits with it for a moment. Then he re-rolls the scroll, ties the string, and sets it aside. He steps outside. The courtyard is still. The sky has opened. Above, the stars scatter themselves across the darkness, not in chaos, but in quiet order. Each one flickers as if breathing. The air is dry and cool, soft against the skin. He looks up and feels small, but not lost. The vastness comforts him. It is not emptiness, but space. It holds room for everything. In the distance, the final call to prayer drifts through the night, long and low, like a lullaby. Musa listens, then closes his eyes. He doesn't speak. He simply breathes. All around him, the city sleeps. The cats curl near hearths. The palm trees sway slightly. A lone drumbeat sounds far off, then vanishes. The wind turns in on itself, quiet again. He steps back inside. The lamp still glows faintly. He folds his robe and lays it beside his sleeping mat. Then he lies down, pulling a light cloth over his legs. He turns once, then stills. His hands rest on his chest. His eyes close. The lamp flickers once, a soft bow of light, and goes out. In the dark, the house does not vanish. It deepens. The silence is not absence. It is presence. Full. Waiting. Held. Above the roof, the stars continue their quiet spinning. Below them, the desert breathes. And inside it all, the small room holds one man's rest, tender and unbroken. Tomorrow will come, but not yet. Now is the time for quiet. There is no final line to the day in Timbuktu, only the soft winding down of breath and thought. The desert does not sleep all at once. It quiets itself little by little, like paper settling after the last word is written. Within the silence, Musa's home holds stillness like a cup holds water. There is no urgency in rest. The night is not an end, but a return, to stillness, to breath, to the slow rhythm of being. Books sleep in their cloth wrappings. Ink rests in its jar. Thoughts nest where they were last placed. Outside, the city lies folded in darkness. Rooftops shimmer faintly under starlight. The old walls breathe dust and memory. The soft curve of dunes waits, unmoved, beyond the last houses, waiting without asking, holding without effort. And above it all, the sky, vast, familiar, unending, watches. Not everything must be spoken. Not every silence asks to be broken. Some moments are complete only in their quiet. And so the night holds, and the breath of the desert moves through it, steady, unseen, eternal. Tomorrow will come, softly, but now, there is peace.